Hey Sal, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. We're up to episode 13, Mind and Muscle Unleashed.
I know. How exciting.
We're big kids, teenagers.
We're out of the trainer nappies.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, good. Good. You?
Yeah, good.
That's good.
Um, so let's go. Thanks to our sponsors, Fernwood Salisbury and
Yeah.
Kojo Coffee. Yes, I've got my coffee cup here. I'm cheating. I've just got water in mine today.
I've just got protein water.
Yeah, I'm caffeinated out today, so I'm not having any more coffee for the rest of the day. But yeah, still got the cup. I love this cup.
I use
Seriously,
it all the time now.
yeah, so good, so good.
All my other
Um,
cups have been neglected.
I've got two. I've got two cups that I will use, and if like they're both dirty, I'll have to clean one so that I can use
Yeah.
it. And I use the same plastic container for my breakfast every morning and the same spoon. I've got a particular, it's a Tupperware spoon that one of my clients, Danny, gave me ages ago. And it's a Tupperware plastic spoon. And I use that same spoon in like my breakfast every single day.
There's nothing wrong with being a creature of habit.
And I have this thing, I don't eat out of proper bowls.
Yeah.
I only ever eat out of plastic containers.
Do you know, funny you say that because me too, like sometimes I'll make something and I'll make it in a container because I don't know why, I just do.
Yeah, I don't use normal crockery. It's called crockery, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or cutlery for that matter. Am I proud? I just use plastic
There
stuff
you go,
all the
a
time.
random fact. Chris
What
does
are
not use
these?
crockery or cutlery.
No, I don't. I use
I
plastic
use
bowls
cutlery, but
mm.
I don't use. How do you use
And
a lot of
also
crockery?
when if I have anything that I need to cut with a knife, I use like my little sharp cooking knife.
Yeah, I probably yeah. And I'm half the time I don't even use a chopping board. I use a plate to chop my stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
love it, love it.
random facts.
Yeah. So we were chatting briefly before we hit the record about last week's podcast on emotional eating. And one thing we did notice was that we didn't get a lot of people commenting on the podcast, yeah, through Instagram and stuff. But we have had quite a few comments like face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we could ask a huge favor of you all, please give us feedback. Comment on our posts, comment on the podcast, and share it to
Yeah.
other people. Like the reason why we're doing this is so that we can help other people. So
100%.
help us to help more people. We would
Yeah,
really
definitely.
appreciate it. Yeah. I mean, I know for me personally, I even had some takeaways from last week. As you know, we were talking about emotional eating and just some of the things that you spoke about as a therapist.
Yeah,
I just, yeah, found that I even had some real light bulb moments last week.
it's good.
And I've been doing this gig for a while. And, like, I guess I come from it as a nutritionist, a coach, PT. So to have it come from a therapist, like that was huge, Sal, last week.
No, thank you. And I guess we don't know what we don't know, right? So for me, I'm really looking forward to today because everything I have learned through nutrition has been since I've been with you as my coach. So it's you don't know what you don't know, and this is the only way to learn. And again, the feedback is great because then we know that what we're delivering is hitting people out there and it's resonating. So yeah, you don't know what you don't know, but that's why we're here to teach people and to learn together.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to show you something. I took your little idea and I also made it my own. So I've had my circle, and
Yay!
in the middle of my circle, when I run my finger around my circle, it says you are worthy.
Love.
So, because I think, yeah, like post comp for me, my mental health has been a little bit up and down, a lot down, if I'm being completely honest. It's yeah, like just embracing post-comp body, the extra weight gain. Yeah, so for me, having those words in the middle of the circle has been pretty important. So
I love that. I love that.
so I trace my finger around it and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I am worthy. And it doesn't have anything to do with how much body fat I'm carrying or not carrying or anything like that, because, you know, it's about loving who you are, not necessarily about what you look like as a person. So,
100%. Our worth is
yeah,
definitely not tied to what we look like or anything
yeah,
like that. It's who we are as humans, and
yeah,
everyone is worthy. So,
exactly. And, you know, I think it's really important that our listeners do understand that. And, you know, yes, we talk about nutrition, and yes, we talk about training and our physique and whatnot. And, you know, we have to look a certain way to be able to step up on stage.
yeah,
And a lot of the information that we give helps people to achieve their physique goals, which, you know, ultimately we're not giving you guys this information because we necessarily, it's about wanting you to look good, because you're not worthy if you don't look good.
yeah,
It's about health, well-being, mental health, because, you know, when you're stronger, when you're not carrying excess body fat, like those things actually make you feel better mentally as well. So
100%,
yeah,
100%. It all ties in. It's hand in
yeah,
hand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, like last week we spoke about you know, emotional eating from
yeah,
the therapist's point of view. And I think what was really cool that you touched on was, and I think a lot of people do know it, but having that reminder that there is a big difference between physiological hunger
yeah,
and hunger that's related to being in an emotional state. And I really loved when you said about how, you know, emotional hunger is instant, like
yeah,
it's really quick to come, whereas the physiological hunger will just gradually build up. And I think that's a really good way to, you know the difference. And
yeah,
then also the circle, like I think that's a really good way to help people in the moment, like in the heat of the moment, have that opportunity to take a step back mentally and go, do I really want this food? And think about it. And so, where I come from as a nutritionist and a trainer, a coach, is very much along the physiology side of it. And if you can help a person to, I guess, make food and nutrition a logical topic and a
mm-hmm,
logical thing, it does, and repetition of that, it does really help to break those emotional ties with food. So it's
yeah,
about reinforcement, you know, when they're in the heat of the moment, doing the tools that you've given, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, using the circle, understanding the difference between the two, but then also doing the work at the back end, the preventative work is really crucial as well. And that's where I sort of come in with the physiological side of things.
yeah. And
So
it's about sticking to it. Like, this is not going to work the first, second, third, fourth time you do it. It's about sticking to trying to make that change.
repetition,
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
it's it's everything in life, right? You know,
Become a creature of habit.
if you want to get good at anything, do that thing. You
Yep,
know, like
100%.
if you want to get good at swimming, you're not going to spend thousands of hours riding a bike.
No.
Like, you want to get good at that thing, you've got to keep doing that thing.
Yep, 100%.
Um, so yeah, when I sort of am talking to my clients, it's really about breaking down, you know, the reason why we actually eat in the first place.
Yeah.
And yes, food has been tampered with like there's no tomorrow. And yes, food, going out, having dinner, being around people, the taste of food, like it is something that can be enjoyed. And it's not a bad thing to actually enjoy food.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what we need to keep in the back of our minds and remember is the reason why we actually eat food is for survival, right?
Mhm.
So if we're being more specific, okay, we're eating so that we've got energy, We're eating so that we have the nutrients there that allow our body to repair any damage. We want to improve our nervous system functioning. We want to improve our hormonal functioning, our immune system, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Right. So there are all of these physiological reasons as to why we actually eat and why we should eat certain foods.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the first step, is breaking that down. So if you sort of think in terms of, and I'm going to come from this from a trainer and a coach standpoint, and everybody's different. Not everybody who listens to this podcast trains, and that's fine. And I'm not saying you have to change that, but I would strongly recommend that, because for longevity, for health, all of these benefits. But I'm going to come from this, like, from the approach of a coach and a PT or trainer.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at food in terms of training and achieving our goals and getting results, we're thinking about having the energy to train. We're thinking about neuromuscular facilitation, so that relationship between the nervous system and the muscular system to enable us to actually perform certain exercises. And then we're talking about the ability to recover and repair from the training stimulus that we've put our body under.
Yeah.
And if you think of it in a nutshell, that's what we're trying to do when we're eating, right?
100%. Yeah.
So let's go into more detail. And I'm basically going to talk about this. I'm going to simplify it as much as I can, because, yes, I'll talk a little bit like what you do when you talk about the brain. I'll talk a little bit about the science behind it, but it's more in terms of integrating it into your life and understanding it in terms that make sense.
Yeah, so we can apply it. Yeah.
So we can apply it, right? So if you don't have energy to train, right? Let's say you're starving yourself, you're not eating enough calories, you're trying to strength train in a fasted state, even to a degree cardio in a fasted state. If you don't have the energy to train, you're not going to be training at a stimulus or at an intensity high enough to actually stimulate any form of results.
Yeah.
Right? You can't expect to just get your car out of the driveway with no fuel in the tank and get maximum performance out of this vehicle.
Yeah.
You've got to have fuel.
100%.
Just
yeah.
like your body needs fuel in order to actually train. Now, there's also a lot of talk about fasted cardio and like whether or not fasted cardio is beneficial. In certain situations, fasted cardio can be beneficial, but short term for females. Yeah. Females, and I'm going to base this around females more so than males because that's our target audience. But it's important to understand that females and males respond very, very differently to fasted cardio over a long period of time, right? So for females, and this is a whole other topic which we can go into later and in detail, but I'm going to say in a basic nutshell, what fasted cardio does over extended periods of time for females is actually detrimental to long-term health and stress levels.
Yeah.
Right. And I can explain that further later on. I would recommend any female who is listening, if they don't follow Dr. Stacey Sims, that they jump on Instagram and follow her. Even better, get her books, and she talks a lot about fasted cardio.
Yeah.
Now, I use fasted cardio at the very, very pointy end of prep, literally the last 2 weeks of prep. And as soon as it was done, as soon as I was out of prep state, fasted cardio's gone. It was literally there for 2 weeks and 2 weeks only.
Yeah.
As a general rule, day-to-day training, if you're looking to get stronger, to get fitter for performance, muscle growth, You need energy to train.
And that's big. So correct me if I'm wrong here with fasted cardio. So when we do fasted cardio, if we're doing this at a long-term pace, we would be at risk of like pretty much losing muscle mass over time. We could lose muscle mass over time.
Correct.
Obviously, it's not great. Like if you've got nothing in your body, you're going to feel things like dizzy, fatigued quicker. So then that's going to affect anything you do after.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think a lot of people confuse fasted cardio with quicker fat loss. And I don't think that's the case. It doesn't guarantee more fat loss over a long period of time, right?
Over a long period of time. That's the key.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Short period of time.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
Leading into the last couple of weeks of comp.
Yeah.
Sure. Over
But
an
not a long
period of time, no.
Yeah.
Because your body is going to have to get energy somehow. And what it's going to start doing is breaking down your hard-earned muscle tissue.
And that's where we lose. Yeah, perfect.
That's where we lose.
Yeah.
You start breaking down muscle tissue, then you start dropping your metabolism.
Yeah.
Then you make it even harder for yourself to lose body fat. You make it even harder for yourself to increase your strength.
Yeah, so, performance drops, yeah.
Short term, leading into a comp, sure.
Yeah.
Long term, for long-term fat loss, definitely not.
Okay.
And then you've also got to think about like the additional things that's going to impact. So your brain's main source of fuel is glycogen, right? So if your brain doesn't have the energy to function properly and you're going into the gym and you're doing, let's say, a heavy strength session that's requiring you to switch on, your cognitive function is going to be impaired.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's also think about not even just strength training. You're going in and doing a body attack class, directional changes, following the instructor, listening to the instructor. Your cognitive ability is going to be declined. You're going to put yourself at risk of hurting yourself, hurting other people in class.
100%. Yeah.
You've got to have that fuel. Otherwise, if your body has nothing to burn, it's going to break down your hard-earned muscle tissue.
What you do have, yeah.
So, especially for females, so crucial, right? But males as well, don't strength train without having some form of carbohydrate and protein in your system.
Yeah.
Then we're talking in terms of strength training. Cardio, not so much, but strength training more so. When you're strength training at the proper level of intensity, when you're really pushing yourself, what you're actually doing is you're damaging the muscle. You're tearing the muscle fibers. And if you don't do that, you haven't created a strong enough stimulus to get stronger and to build muscle tissue. In order for your body to repair post strength training, it needs to have adequate nutrition to do that.
Yeah.
Then there's all the hormonal adaptations that come as a result of strength training as well, which if we don't have adequate nutrition, again, that's going to be up shit creek.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So then if we break it down even more, where do we get our energy? Carbohydrate.
Yeah.
Where do we get that ability to repair and recover from our workouts? Protein.
Yeah.
What helps that hormonal regulation? What helps that neuromuscular facilitation? Fats.
Yeah.
Right? So protein, carbohydrate, and fats are all critical for you to consume.
And I love that because so many people, and there's so much stigma around certain macros like carbohydrates, and so this is really good. This is really good to dive into.
So carbohydrates aren't bad for you. Carbohydrates are exceptionally good for you. Carbohydrates are how your brain functions. Carbohydrates are how you have energy to actually do stuff. They are not bad for you.
Yeah.
And poor carbohydrates You
I
go.
think this is something for everyone to really, really understand is by labeling certain macros like our carbohydrates or our fats. I think it's fats as well, as soon as people hear the word fat, but it's not about, we're not talking about the greasy fats, we're talking about your healthy fats. So
Mhm.
when we label these as bad, that's what leads to this kind of
Mhm.
emotional eating and this stigma around certain foods like carbohydrates and fats. So we've got to really be careful how we're labeling that and understanding, like you just said, the truth that they're not bad. They're
No,
not
they're
bad.
not
They're
bad.
actually quite good for us in
They are
balance.
essential for our survival.
Yeah.
And in the words of Scotty Morrell, right? Fat on your body is not actually fat, it's adipose tissue,
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
right? So if
Love
we're
that.
being more specific, you consume fat, you hold adipose tissue.
Yeah.
So even if it does help you to change your mindset around fats, start calling it adipose tissue.
Yeah.
And also that will switch on that part of your brain that is logical too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
100%.
if you start referring to it as adipose tissue, watch your mindset shift as well.
It's all just about that one word, isn't it? It's your brain. Obviously, we all see fat, the word fat, as a bad word. And this again is changing that mindset. And that my point just exactly there is it's not bad, but because fat is linked to a bad word and society labels it as a bad word, we automatically then put our, defense mode up. No, we don't want fat. We don't want fat.
Mhm. We
Yeah.
need it. We need
We,
adipose tissue. We
especially as
actually,
women. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, if you think about it, the fact that when you're deep in comp prep and you are shredded to the gills, as a female, your body basically stops your menstrual cycle, right?
We've been there.
I haven't had mine for I reckon 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to the first one, I'll tell you that
Get
much.
ready.
But the reason why our menstrual cycle, our periods stop, is because our body has deemed that it is no longer the right environment for us to be able to have babies.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is a normal physiological thing for a female. So if our body has put a stop to what is a normal physiological thing for us, because our body fat is so low, does that not tell you that we need to have at least a decent amount of body fat
Yeah.
for normal physiological function?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And yes, it's nice. It's nice to have those photos of looking shredded. It's nice to, be able to get that to that point. But it
It's not
doesn't feel
sustainable.
good. It doesn't feel good. And, like the trade offs that you get from having a healthy amount of adipose tissue, the trade offs of that are next level.
Yeah.
Hormone health, more energy in the gym. Not that it's really that important to me right now or helpful to me at all as well. Like your sex drive, libido.
Always coming.
I'm like, how do I say this?
Just say it.
I mean, you get it. We are both
You're in my
assume most
both,
people get.
sister.
But for other people in relationships or in situations where they're getting some, like all of those things returning back to normal, like that's a better place to be.
Yeah.
So essentially that's kind of led us now into, if anyone's heard the term macros, macronutrients: protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So they're your 3 macronutrients. And a lot of our listeners probably, like, now it's becoming a lot more popular, this talk about macros, which is really cool. But a lot of people still, don't particularly understand it.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, if you're following your macros, you're basically tracking your grams of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, there's the really important thing to know about macros is there's no one size fits all. And I'm going to go into detail on that at a later podcast because we're already at like 25 minutes, which is crazy. Jesus, girls can talk. So, and it depends on so many things. It depends on your body composition, your metabolic rate, and all of that depends on, your weight, your height, your metabolism, your activity level, your goals, blah, 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 right? Yeah. And it does take a while to work out what your macros should be. And you've got what your maintenance macros should be, what your surplus macros should be, and then also what your deficit macros should be. So that's a bit of trial and error. And if it's something that you want to do, I would suggest working with a coach or a nutritionist to actually work those out properly for yourself.
100%. I think that there is a crucial point. Work with a coach or nutritionist. Because, we can get on Google and do it, but I think you really need to have a coach or a nutritionist to work with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least in the early stages so that you can really get your head around it.
Yeah.
So that leads me into, and I know that we're on the home stretch of this one, but you had a mic drop at the end of last one. So I'm kind of like building up to my mic drop. It's not going to be as good as yours, but anyway.
I will.
So for me, as a coach, as a nutritionist, with my clients, I don't do meal plans. So I work on macros. And there's quite a few reasons why I do that. And one of the key ones is because it helps people to start to develop a logical relationship with nutrition. It teaches them how to eat and it gives them control. Because deep down, at the end of the day, we're all just little control freaks.
100%.
And we like to have control, right? Yeah. So if you think about it, if I, and again, this is in context, like if I've got, let's say you in a peak week or you on comp day, I'm probably going to give you a meal plan.
Yeah.
Right? That's different. For everyday person, if you think, I give this person a meal plan, right? Let's say I give you a meal plan and I've got everything detailed out down to the letter, okay? You're cruising along on your day and for some reason, whatever reason it may be because you're busy, it might be because you had a craving, it might be because it was available to you, you had something different for your mid-morning snack that wasn't on your meal plan.
Yeah.
Have you stuck to or have you not stuck to the meal plan?
I haven't stuck to my
meal plan.
Yeah.
You failed.
Yeah.
And so no mid-morning.
Yeah.
Right? You can't go back.
Can't come back from that. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't come back from that. Right? You could continue to follow the meal plan for the rest of the day and therefore finish the day at what you would deem would be 80% success. Right? But you can't come back from that. You haven't stuck to your meal plan. Meal plans are very pass or fail.
Yes.
Let's say I gave you your macros for the day, on the other hand, and I said, ballpark figure, I'm saying, okay, you're on 150 gram of protein, you're on 200 gram of carbs, you're on 50 gram of fat. I've just plucked those numbers out. Please don't take them as what you should be doing, listeners, right? I've just plucked those numbers out. Let's say you're cruising along, mid-morning comes along, you've grabbed a protein bar, which wasn't on your meal plan, but you're on macros, so it doesn't matter anyway. You've grabbed a protein bar, which was different to what you had planned for the day. So I'm not saying don't plan. Still plan your days. Put it in your macro tracker, plan your day. But you were planning on having, let's say you're planning on having a banana for your mid-morning snack, right? And you got to your bag and you realized that your kids had taken your banana out of your bag because that's what they do because they're jerks like that and your food is apparently their food. But you do have a protein bar in your bag. And so you have that instead, right? Yeah. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go in, you're going to take out the banana from your meal tracker. You're going to put in the protein bar. Then you might need to change what you're going to have for your mid-afternoon snack, or you're going to take something out or add something in on your lunch. You're going to take some time and you're going to move your little Tetris pieces around so that your end of day macros is going to match your goals.
Yes.
And you might do that a couple of times over the course of the day as shit comes up, because shit does, because life's not perfect. It doesn't always go the way that we want it to go. And you just might move your little chess pieces around for the rest of the day. And then at the end of the day, you're within 10 grams of your carbs and your protein, you're within 5 grams of your fat. And guess what? You've hit your macros.
And see, that there just hits because for many people, I think emotional eating feels like they're losing control. So macro tracking can empower people and giving you not a plan, giving you concrete numbers to follow. So therefore, you're making your own decision what fits within those numbers. So essentially, listeners, you're giving yourself control, which you feel like you're losing when you emotional eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that means, like, let's say you're planning to go home and have lunch, and then something's happened and you're out and about and you have to have lunch. And so you go scouting around and you might get to a supermarket, or you might even go into a bloody food court, and you know that you want to aim to get around this much protein, this much carbohydrate, this much fat. You're no longer looking at stuff and going, is that good or is that bad?
Yeah.
Is that on my plan or is that off my plan? You're going, okay, well, what's going to tick those boxes the best possible way that I can?
Yeah.
And then it's a really informed decision. It's a very logical decision. And you're in control. The second job, babe.
And I think food labeling, like you're saying, food labeling can make eating decisions be driven by rules instead of being driven by hunger and fullness, or even satisfaction for that fact. So I guess this disconnection can lead to overeating or constant stress about making the right choice, which isn't sustainable.
No, because we're human.
Yep.
And human things happen. Life changes. Things don't always go to plan.
Yep.
But if you do the best that you can in that situation, then you can still be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And macros, like you said, macros isn't a plan. So it's an adaptable tool that you can use.
Because that's life.
Yeah.
The only thing that's constant in life is change.
Yeah.
And the more flexible we can be, the better we can deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, have your plan. Have your plan of attack. But also be prepared for things to pop up. And by having this element of flexibility and control, you can take charge back.
Yeah. No, that's 100% right. And I think when we do have the control, we tend to not label foods as much as good or bad. And I have lived this, like previously, my last time around, I was on a meal plan, and when I started with you, you gave me my macros and you said, here you go, play with it. I've learned so much from playing with my macros. Like now I can do it each week and I'm like 5 grams out, if that, Whereas
remember how you felt when I first said go to macros, though? Tell everybody how you felt.
I was so overwhelmed. I was like, what? Like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what I'm putting in. I don't know how to work all this out. And I'm not going to lie, the first 2 weeks, I was like, shit, it took me I'm not going to lie, about 30 minutes to put my macros in. But now I can literally do my whole day in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're a pro.
It's just so easy now. Like I can literally even guess kind of what my macros are going to be. And then I put it in my app and then it works out a couple of grams out or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'll pick up some carbs here. But from a year ago, I had no idea. And I was so overwhelmed because I'm an overthinker. I panicked. I was like, I can't do this straight away. That negative, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. It's about learning, playing with an adaptable tool. It teaches you as you do it. That's the thing, the big takeaway. If you've got a good app, it teaches you by playing with the app. You're learning.
Gamification.
now I'll
dopamine
never
hit.
go back to a meal plan, even though I ate
And
the same thing for weeks on end. But
and the cool thing, like if you've got a good app, like for example, I'm going to show this up in the screen, right? See those little bullseye things? This is our Kahunas app that we use. When all of those are colored,
that makes my heart happy.
right? That means you've hit within 10 grams of your macros, which is a little dopamine hit at the end of the day when you check in with your coach.
Yes. And I think it's important to know when you use an app like this, you can have that slight, 5 to 8, 10 grams out. Like it doesn't have to be on the exact gram. Like give yourself some leeway, especially as you're learning.
Yeah.
Like don't think you got 150 grams of protein, you have to be on 150. 145, 146 is fine.
160.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like, yeah.
And again, don't expect to nail it straight away.
Could you imagine if we got everything right the first time? Life would be so boring.
There'd be no satisfaction, right?
Nah.
I can do that thing. Boring.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Boring.
Oh, I reckon we're at our time.
Hey, yeah, we are. We're at 36:20. We can break down macros even more. Like I think this is a bit of a lead into many other conversations, but that I essentially wraps up our emotional eating topic, though, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so too. It definitely does. I think, going into macros and leading things from that, I think that's our next point. But again, please, guys, if you've listened, give us some feedback on our Instagram, leave some comments, send us some messages. Like, let us know what resonated with you over these last 2 potties, and let us know if you've tried some of the things we've mentioned, because again, we're doing this to help you, and we want to know what works for you. We're here to give other strategies if they don't. So that the only way we're going to know is if you guys let us know.
Yeah. And ask your questions as well.
Yeah.
You'll have to make sure that you tag Scotty in this one.
Yes, definitely. He'll be so proud.
I still don't know if I know that we're at 37 minutes at the moment, but if you want an example of like a logical approach to adipose tissue and your physique, some of our listeners may not. I don't even know if I mentioned this on the podcast, but I still remember it was, I reckon, still a good couple of months from comp day. And Scotty and my coach, Michael, came over, and Stewie came over to do an NBA workshop. And after the workshop, Michael wanted Scotty to get his eyes on me just to, somebody else's opinion as to how I was doing. And he's like looking me up and down. And he's like, oh, do you mind if I pinch your adipose?
Go for it, Scotty.
And he's just come up and around my glutes, like he's just pinched, because at that time we were like, am I carrying extra adipose or is it just inflammation because of the amount of like physical activity I do? And he's like, do you mind if I just like pinch your adipose?
Can you imagine people who don't know what that means? I heard that, they'll be like, what the hell?
Like, go for it. And he's like pinched it, and he's like, if kids are listening, beat this out. He's like, oh, there's fuck all there, isn't there? That's just inflammation.
Love that. Oh, he's a legend, man. I remember the podcast where he was talking about it. I was like, it was just like a boom moment. Like, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So no, it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's us. We are. Let's say goodbye quickly, and then we're still under the 40 minutes, hey?
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Like, share, comment.
Do all the things. See ya.
See ya.